You put the most powerful character dead last. Because I'm playing it.
Hey.
If it was somebody else playing it, you wouldn't have put him dead last, you put him first.
Hey, I have evidence.
What's the evidence?
Hello everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to the Wilson Productions Combatant Power Scaling. This will be analyzing all the combatants from all the previous productions I've done over my film career, and we're going to be pitting them head to head to see who would win in a fight against each other, and more specifically, who's the most powerful out of everyone. And we'll just get some basic rules out of the way first before we introduce all the contestants. This will be assuming any weapons will function as if they were real. So for instance, the Nerf rival Prometheus would be a real minigun, and any contestants that had powers presented via visual effects in their respective videos will actually be able to use those powers as if they were real. And specifically towards the masked man, this will also assume his helmet and armor would actually protect them. So it's not made out of plastic, it's made out of metal or something. This is a quick summary of all the contestants that'll be in here. So our first series is the Squid series. As my classic fans would know, that's what I used to do before I moved on to Nerf-related content. And the only person from that will be the orange squid hat, because I feel it's appropriate. He's the star of the show. And the next one is Firebender Alex, or Firebender me. The next two are Boxer Dulce and Boxer Abner. The next ones are Jedi Ethan and Sith Nolan. And the last ones are from my most recent project, Nerf Fun Run and Gun, which as you guys have seen on my social media, I've been promoting quite a lot. So this one, it's analyzing everyone that's used both a gun and a melee weapon, and I've separated them into separate versions. Editor Alex here. I realize I did not introduce the contestants from Nerf Fun Run and Gun like I did the other series earlier, so I will do so now. Starting with the weapons-based melee combatants, we have Ethan armed with a single sword, Caelan armed with dual swords, Alex, or me, armed with a spear, the masked man also armed with a spear, Nathan armed with the heavy buster sword, Josh armed with a single sword, and Dulce armed with a single sword. As for the ranged combatants, we have Ethan, who's armed with the Nerf rival Perses, which is basically an SMG, Caelan with the Nerf rival Artemis, which is basically a compact shotgun, Josh with the Nerf rival Hades, which is basically a bigger version of the Artemis, Alex, or me, who's armed with the Nerf rival Prometheus, which is basically a minigun, Lexi, who's armed with a Zing Hyperstrike bow, the masked man, who's armed with the same weapon, Aniston, who's armed with the Nerf rival Nemesis, which is basically an assault rifle, and Nathan, who's armed with the same weapon. And yeah, we're going to be ranking them from the least to most powerful. However, I'm not going to be the only one doing this because I wanted different opinions on this. That way it wouldn't seem as if I were biased. I have two other people that have been a part of my film productions before. One of them is
Ethan Norvell, that's me.
And the other is
Nolan Norvell, that's me.
So yeah, they made their own rankings as well. So each time we go about a number, I'll give my explanation and they'll give theirs. So yeah, without any further ado, let's begin the video, guys.
Woo!
So yeah, on my list, I have unarmed Dulce as my least powerful combatant because, well, I love you, Dulce. If you're watching this video, please don't take offense to this, but I just don't think an unarmed version of you really stacks up against people that have weapons or superpowers.
It's also pretty logical, dude. Like, that's like the most logical thing, dude.
Facts.
Like, ranking her that low.
The unarmed version of Dulce, I just don't think she stacks
She's
up.
hopeless against Sith Nolan, obviously.
And then next we got Ethan's ranking.
Yeah, so a bit of a curveball. I put him last because I think he's like overhyped, to be honest. I really do. Sure, he's got all these cool ass Darth Vader powers, but I mean, he can't, Darth Vader lost to Luke. I think he's the weakest character. I think Dulce is stronger than Sith Nolan, so that's
you
why.
think unarmed Dulce is stronger than a Sith Lord?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I have evidence to prove it. All right, the explanation.
The explanation is highlighted for everyone.
Yes. So if you all can read,
you put the most powerful character dead last. Because I'm playing it.
Hey.
If it was somebody else playing it, you wouldn't have put him dead last, you put him first.
Hey, I have evidence.
What's the evidence besides those telekinesis gloves?
No, I have evidence that
Which
backs up.
I can't defend against my lightning strikes.
I have evidence that backs up my claim, and I've already explained it to you. Okay?
How?
Hey! This is my freaking list, okay? You shut up. He has, huh? Okay.
Please don't interrupt whoever is speaking, please. That's typical YouTube etiquette.
But he's been interrupting me this whole time. Okay. So can I talk? Can I talk, dude? Okay.
And next we got who's in 20th place on my ranking is Boxer Abner, or Unarmed Abner. He still sucks in comparison to everyone else, but that's less because Abner sucks. So it's more just because he doesn't have any powers or weapons. But I still think he beats Dulce simply because he's got more.
And also,
strength.
women don't fare too well against fighting men.
Hey,
so.
I didn't say that.
That's biologically true, Alex.
And now we've got Ethan's 20th spot.
That is Dulce Gomez. I put her ahead of Sith Nolan, obviously, because I think that it makes sense to me to have him last and to have him behind Dulce. I think he's the weakest character.
I think he's the weakest character.
Alright, so now we're moving on to the 19th place spot on my list. I have Nathan with the Buster Sword, and I think he beats the Boxer duo because he has a weapon and they don't. It really is just that simple.
Yeah.
He's not really the best combatant out of everyone here. I still think he beats the Boxer duo, however.
Yeah.
And for Ethan's 19th place spot, he has Unarmed Abner. Why do you think he's at that spot?
Because, well, I'm not trying to be sexist, but obviously he beats Dulce because he's a man.
And moving on to the 18th place spot, on my list, I have Lexi with the bow. Ethan and I debated heavily on this, but at least on my ranking, I have her as more powerful than Buster Sword Nathan.
Yeah.
Simply because she has a ranged weapon and he doesn't. Like, it's going to be really hard. Unless he makes it into melee range, he can't do any damage. And she obviously beats the Boxer duo because, once again, she has a weapon and they don't.
Yeah.
For Ethan's spot, so we got Lexi with the bow. Please explain your ranking here.
Well, obviously she beats Nolan for sure because she has the Kurtosis arrows that can bypass a lightsaber. And the reason why I have Nathan ahead of her is because, he's got that Buster Sword that can block her Kurtosis arrows.
So yeah, that was kind of the thing that we were disagreeing on earlier was Ethan thought that Nathan would win because his sword would be big enough to block, whereas I thought Lexi would win because the range advantage would be too much. So honestly, you guys in the comments could probably come up with your own explanation here, because honestly, it could be either or.
Right.
So in my 17th place spot, I have the Squid hat. That was what originally started me out here.
Yep.
So I think the Squid beats Lexi with the bow because not only is he a small target, which is already hard to hit, but he also is able to fly. So at that rate, I just don't know if Lexi can hit him because I just don't think Lexi is that good of a marksman.
No.
I would know. I fought him plenty of times.
That's right.
Yeah.
So have I.
Oh, yeah, you did too. I don't think no one's ever fought the Squid before.
No.
And I think he also beats Buster Sword Nathan because he'd just be able to avoid all the attacks, especially because the Buster Sword is such a slow weapon.
Yeah.
And he beats the Boxer duo because, again, I just don't think they'd be able to hit the Squid.
No.
The Squid's ability to fly is too much for those guys.
It's immaculate.
And then for Ethan's 17th place ranking, he has Nathan Hale.
Hale. Yes.
So you kind of explained this a little bit before.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to your argument?
No.
All right.
No.
So that's pretty
I
simple.
think I said it all.
So yeah, for my 16th spot, I have the Masked Man with a bow. I put him here mostly because he's not the best shot with the bow, but I think what makes it up, however, is the fact that he has armor in not only his face, but also his chest. So any attacks that go there will just not even hit him. Based off of the armor alone, he kind of does get carried.
Oh, for sure.
He also beats the Squid for the similar reason, because Ethan and I also disagreed on that as well, but I personally just don't think the Squid's blunt attacks are powerful enough to go past the Masked Man's armor. So that's why I think he beats the Squid personally.
I feel that you underestimate him too much, the Squid.
Well, I've also beat him several times.
Well, yeah.
And then Ethan's 16th place spot is also the same one.
Yeah, dude.
But what's your reasoning, though?
I wonder why.
But my reasoning is this. I put him at 16th because he can defeat Sith Nolan because he's wearing very protective armor. Move to your list.
All right. 15th place, I have the spear version of the Masked Man. I do think he'd be able to defeat his bow-wielding counterpart because the arrows just wouldn't be able to penetrate his armor, whereas a spear thrust definitely could, as demonstrated in Ethan's fight with the Masked Man. So Please explain what it was like to face the Masked Man, because I think the audience would really benefit from a first-hand perspective.
Well,
here.
I would say this. Yes, he dominated the first couple of skirmishes during the duel. He knew how to spear for sure. He knew how to almost defeat me.
Yeah, but when you stole his spear, he was able
Yes.
to pierce right through the armor, right?
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
So that's kind of my reasoning for why I think he beats the Archer version.
Yes.
And it looks like on Ethan's ranking, he put him right around a
Yes.
similar spot.
Yes.
Which, I don't know, what's your logic? Is it
Well,
different?
obviously because he's armed with the spear, and also he can dodge the arrows.
Yeah, you dodge one of Lexi's arrows.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Is your editor going to add that clip?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, future Alex. Dude, we're talking to the future right now.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself, technically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So, on my next ranking, I have Josh with the Cutlass. And the reason why I ranked him lower, at least the melee version of Josh, is simply because even though he's an Army veteran, they simply don't teach sword fighting in the Army because, well, we don't use swords anymore, so it makes sense.
That's right.
So it's not to say Josh is a bad fighter. He certainly isn't. He could definitely destroy a lot of us. But as far as a sword duel is concerned, he leaves a little bit to be desired, which is why I personally think the other melee fighters do beat him in that regard. And then the next ranking on Ethan's list, he has Dulce with the sword.
Yeah. You know, I've dueled against her before, and my oh my, I never should have underestimated her, all right? She nearly defeated me. And
Yeah,
so,
she stabbed her leg, right?
That's right. That's right. And that's why I put her ahead of the Masked Man with the spear, because I feel whenever I fought the Masked Man, it was never really that close.
Yeah, you disarmed him of his own weapon.
That's right. But whenever I fought Dulce, it was another story. She's a real fighter.
My next ranking was Sword Dulce, which the only reason I think she would beat Josh in a sword duel is just because she's actually trained in the use of a sword before, because they taught her how to do that in her last few weeks of acting class.
Oh,
so even though it's very brief training, it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, she retained something, I bet.
And then your next ranking is the Squid. So,
I feel like you have been underestimating him a little bit too much, in my opinion. Squids are, in fact, they're one of the most intelligent species out there, okay? I feel that he belongs in 13th place ahead of Dulce Gomez with her sword, because he can fly and he can also summon an entire army. I feel that you're forgetting that. He'd still defeat Dulce, and he'd obviously defeat Sith Nolan. I mean, that's just...
Oh yeah, speaking of which, because I remember bringing this up with you last time, because Sith Nolan has lightning and the Squid's possibly going to be covered in water, which does conduct electricity, how do you think he's going to deal with that?
He can dodge it. I can tell you that, he can dodge it.
So you think his flight ability is so powerful
It's
that he'd
so
just be able to dodge
powerful
everyone?
that he could... Yes, he's like the Flash, but in water.
Let's move up the list a bit.
Yes.
So on 12th place, a lot of these you don't even really need to speculate because he's actually already fought a lot of these people.
That's true.
He fought Dulce and beat her.
Yeah.
He fought Josh and beat him.
Yeah.
He fought Nathan and beat him.
That's true.
He fought Spear Masked Man and beat him.
So then why the fuck am I 12th?
Well, that's because I do think more often than not, Caelan would win in a fight. That's not to say you would never win. There definitely is like around a 50-50. I just find it a little bit more likely that Caelan would win simply because he's done boxing training before. And in boxing, like even though it doesn't really translate as well to weapons-based melee combat, he would still know the basics of fighting, such as keeping your guard up, your reflexes, stuff like that.
I agree. I agree with that statement, yes.
So that's at least my reason for why I think dual sword Caelan would beat sword you. All right. And then next up on your list, we have Sword Josh.
Yes. This is probably the most controversial ranking after Sith Nolan's 21st ranking. Obviously, Josh, he's a vet, all right? He was a soldier. Obviously, Josh beats Sith Nolan because he's much more strategic. And he beats everyone else due to his military experience. He's like the Rommel on this list.
I kind of explained this already, but yeah, I'm not going to go any further. But basically, dual sword Caelan would win against single sword Ethan just simply because Caelan's had more fighting experience. But beyond that, it really could go either way. I just find it more likely.
He also has two swords. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah, that too. Next up on your list, it's actually the same one.
Yep. So obviously, Caelan, he'll easily defeat Josh because, well, he's armed with 2 swords. And I also do think that because Caelan's younger and taller, that factors in, all right? And so that's why I have him ahead of Josh. And the reason why I have him ahead of Sith Nolan is because of his physical superiority, as I've already mentioned that. So...
All right. So next up, not biased at all, guys. I legitimately actually thought this through. Spear me, I feel like, would defeat all the other melee combatants because spears are really just that powerful in melee fights. The only reason Sword Ethan beat me before was because I was the one writing the script. I wanted that to happen.
Right.
But in any of our unscripted battles, however, anytime I've had a spear, I've almost always beat Ethan.
Okay. You didn't have to mention that part.
We'll see what Ethan has to say. He might have a little bit less of a biased standpoint on that.
Thank the Romans.
And
yeah. So I put myself ahead of Caelan. Hopefully he doesn't watch this, but I feel that I would outsmart him during our duel. I'm slightly taller than him, although he won't admit that, but obviously taller than him, but pretty fair.
Yeah. And next up on my list, I have Aniston with the Nerf rival Nemesis. Literally, the only reason she's this high up on the list is because everyone else below her doesn't have a gun. So honestly, she can just lock and load and just freaking unload on everyone. They just die. Aniston as a whole, I'm sorry, I just don't think she's the best warrior, which is why out of all the gunmen, she's the lowest on the list. But she still beats all the melee guys because, like I said, she has a gun and they don't. It really is just that simple. I don't really have much more to say about that.
It really just comes down to that.
Yeah. Then you put me with the spear as your 9th spot.
Yes. So obviously spears are highly, highly deadly. That's why you're ahead of me. That's why you're ranked 9th. Beats me.
Let's move on to the next place on the list. So on mine, I have Nathan with the Nemesis. He's honestly fairly similar to Aniston. The only reason I put him higher is just because whenever we were filming the fight scene in my backyard, Nathan was more familiar with how to use the gun, whereas I had to show Aniston multiple times what to do. So literally just because of that, I feel like Nathan to win. He's just more experienced with the Nemesis. But otherwise, he beats everyone else for similar reasons as Aniston. He has a gun and everyone else doesn't. So
I hope it's not because he's a man.
Well, in this case, it doesn't matter because I got guns. Yeah. I feel like gender differences matter more in melee combat, less in range combat.
That's true.
And then your ranking, you got Aniston.
Yeah, I put Aniston ahead of you because, well, she's got a gun.
Next up on our list, or my list, I got Caelan with the Artemis. Even though Caelan's got an inferior weapon to both Nathan and Aniston, I just feel like Caelan's not only a better fighter, but I also feel like he has much better tactics. And he's also agile enough to where I can honestly see him dodging the bullets because even though the Nemesis is a full auto weapon, its fire rate is honestly pretty slow during all my testings I've done.
Yeah.
So because of that, I feel like the fire rate is slow enough to where Caelan to be able to effectively dodge the bullets, close the distance, and then use his shotgun to just completely obliterate them. And then you put Nathan with the Nemesis as your 7th place spot.
Yeah, obviously I put him ahead of Aniston. Going back to what you said before, I feel that you had to really explain it to her how to use it. She had trouble using it, kind of. It'd be sort of a tough fight, though, but I think he'd ultimately prevail. So that's why I have him ahead of Aniston. So...
And then my 6th place spot on my list, I have Ethan with the Perses, you with the Perses. And main reason for in the Nerf world, it's basically as close as you can get to an SMG because it does fire that quickly. And especially in this case, since we're assuming the weapons would function like real guns, it's impossible to dodge the Perses. If Ethan has you lined up in his sights, you're not going to be able to avoid getting hit. So that's why I feel like he beats Caelan because Caelan wouldn't be able to dodge, and he beats Nathan and Aniston because they just don't have enough experience gun battling.
Yeah. So the reason why I have Caelan ahead of Nathan is because Caelan with the Artemis, that's the duo right there. That's the duo. And so that's why that's why, in my opinion, he beats Nathan pretty easily. Caelan with the Artemis, that's the duo right there. That's the duo.
I personally like to use the Artemis. That's a good one. It's got 3 barrels. It holds a lot of ammo. It's not super big, but it's not super small. So it's an overall good weapon.
All right. My 5th place spot, again, not biased at all.
No.
At the bottom of top 5, I put me with the Prometheus / minigun. Main reason for that is because not only does it outgun the Perses, but I've also dueled Ethan so many times, I already kind of know how to fight him. And then I beat all the other gun wielders for the same reason, because my gun's just so much better than theirs. All right, and then You put yourself with the Perses as the bottom of top 5. So please explain your reasoning.
Yeah, well, the Perses, it is the strongest Nerf gun, the most powerful after the Prometheus. The Perses, it's more accurate than the Artemis. You know, it has a better rate of fire. It makes more sense to put the Perses ahead of the Artemis if we were talking, if we were ranking Nerf guns. So that's why I feel that, yeah, I'm ahead of Caelan because of the gun,
All right. Then 4th place, second to last on the top 5, I have Josh with the Hades.
Yeah.
Main reason for that is because out of everyone, he's the most qualified for being really good with a gun.
That's
He
true.
was an Army veteran,
That's
so
true, yeah.
he's most likely been in actual combat and not fake combat. He would definitely know how to do that a lot better.
Yeah.
And unlike his sword counterpart, he's finally using a weapon he's actually trained with, so he no longer has that disadvantage.
Yeah.
He would beat Perses you and Prometheus me, because
Probably.
even though our weapons are rapid fire, I feel like he's dealt with that before. He probably
Yeah.
know what to do.
Yeah.
Your 4th place spot, you have me with the Prometheus.
Yes. Obviously the Prometheus, as I said before, it's the most powerful Nerf gun, and so that's why he beats me.
All right. And then we're at the top 3 on my
Hey,
list
there's
now.
me. I'm third.
So yeah, we got Jedi Ethan as top 3 from the Raging Chess skit. So the reason why I think he's third is because against Firebender me, I just don't think Ethan really has any defense to pyrokinesis,
Yeah.
because even though it is possible to use telekinesis to blast away flamethrowers,
Yeah.
Ethan just hasn't displayed enough skill with telekinesis to really be able to do that. The only time he ever did it in his duel against Nolan was whenever Nolan was force choking him, and he used force push to get Nolan off of him.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, he never used telekinesis throughout the rest of the duel. And also, it's physically impossible to use a lightsaber to block the fire. He beats all the gun wielders because he can just pull their guns out of their hands with telekinesis. He beats all the melee guys because his lightsaber can just chop all of them right in half. So yeah, that's why Jedi Ethan is top 3 on my list. And let's see who's top 3 on yours. You have Josh with the Hades as top 3 on yours.
I'm simply basing this on the fact that Josh is a veteran.
All right, and it looks like we have the same person in our second place
That's right.
rankings. But yeah, as I already stated before, I already explained why I think Firebender me can beat Jedi Ethan, so I'm not going to go too much further into that. And I feel like I would beat the gun wielders because I could literally summon an actual firewall with my pyrokinesis and just melt all the bullets incoming, and then blast them with fire as a counterattack to destroy them.
Yeah.
And then I would defeat everyone else below the gun wielders because, well, what are they going to do against a fire? They can't do anything.
They can't do anything.
Boxer duo, try bobbing and weaving away from the fire. It's going to work super well for you guys.
Yes.
Pyrokinesis is such a powerful ability, especially against people that don't have superpowers.
Yeah.
So I'd pretty easily defeat them in that regard. And you, like I said, you have the same placing. Is there like any different reasoning behind yours?
No, not really, dude. It's basically the same thing.
Our first place ranking, however, is way different.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We're definitely going to have a debate about that.
It differs for sure.
So yeah, in my opinion, on my ranking, the most powerful combatant in all of the Wilson Productions combatants is Sith Nolan. Even though Ethan over here has been ragging on Sith Nolan the entire video, I truly do believe that Sith Nolan is the most powerful out of everyone here.
Yeah.
Even though he also has a lightsaber and the force push ability like Jedi Ethan, he also has 2 more abilities that he doesn't, that being Force Choke and Force Lightning. Within the Star Wars universe, those 2 abilities are basically insta-kill abilities. You can't really do anything against them. Even in the very fight that Jedi Ethan and Sith Nolan had, Ethan literally had no defense against Nolan's lightning. He pretty much just was forced to take it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to defeat Jedi Ethan in a straight-up duel, but he would win by way of his force powers. He also beats Firebender me as well, because even though I have fire and he technically can't defend against it, theoretically, he could just insta-kill me via force choke and just end the fight before it even starts. So it really would just be that simple.
Yeah.
He beats all the gun wielders because he can just take the guns out of their hands with his telekinesis. And then he beats all the melee guys because his lightsaber can go right through their melee weapons. He beats the Squid because he can just blast them out of the sky with electricity. And he beats the Boxer duo because they literally can't do anything against a guy with superpowers. It's impossible. So that's why I think Sith Nolan is the most powerful. However, you put Jedi Ethan, Jedi you as the most powerful person.
Yes.
Why do you think
I
that?
put myself number one because I feel that I am much more powerful than Sith Nolan. And here's why.
All right, let's hear you out.
I'm gonna go back in time here. How did Luke defeat Darth Vader? Darth Vader, obviously, he had more powerful powers than Luke, okay? He was a veteran and he was older than him. So then how the F did Luke win that fight? Because he was on the good side. He was on the good side. And that is why I feel that I'm ahead of Sith Nolan. And obviously, I defeat you, Alex, because...
yeah, how do you defeat Firebender me?
Because I'm, like, too powerful. I feel like you underestimate me too much.
Well, I put you on 3rd place on my list.
Yeah.
That's definitely not underestimating you.
Yeah. We need to do this again, dude.
Yeah.
This was fun.
So anyways, yeah, that was our combatant ranking. That is everybody in the Wilson Productions, and hopefully we'll get more people as I start making more videos.
I hope so too, Doc.
And maybe in a few years from now we'll do this again.
Yeah, this was fun, dude.
So anyways, yeah, thank you all for watching, and thank you guys.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to my channel. I'll put Ethan and Nolan's
Thank
social medias in the description if they want that.
Follow me on LinkedIn.
But anyways, yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Later.